Thank you. Hey, thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate everyone being here. We're going to start by just going through all of our public hearings, and then we will welcome the guests and the privilege of the floor. Before we start, we have a resolution that I'm putting on the table for the town board to vote on. This resolution is the town board via town code has always had the right to charge people that are applying for wastewater treatment variances for engineering services rendered that the town pays for our engineers. So people hire their own engineers to draw their wastewater review, their wastewater plans, design, and then we came to the point as a town board that it was just getting a little bit beyond us, all these different types of systems, and we've always had the right to charge the homeowners for these services rendered, but we've never done it. And I am proposing that the community at large should not have to carry the burden for specialized systems that do not meet the criteria of normal town code, let's just say. So, and other towns are doing this. This is pretty standard. We're just a little, let's just say, lagging behind. So, resolution. Anyone applying for wastewater variances that the town of Hague deems professional engineering review is required or necessary will be responsible for those engineering review fees in its entirety, in addition to the fee schedule paid to the ZEO. No zoning compliance certificate shall be granted until payment is received in full. Town board approval will be revoked if payment is not received in full for town engineering review fees. Would anyone, and this is, you can see below, we're referencing the code that we're citing the code that gives us the right to charge those said individuals. Would anyone from the board like to make that motion?
So moved.
Anyone like to second it?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Carried. So we have tonight two public hearings that were left open. The first of which is Oxford Cottages, Lee Cunningham at 4 Silver Bay Road, tax map number 76.20-1-3.2. So we are leaving this one open again tonight because, well, we didn't get this. The person that normally helps us at Cedarwood Engineering had a emergency and was unable to complete all of the Cedarwood Engineering reviews for us. So we weren't able to get this review until late this afternoon. So the homeowners engineer and Cedarwood have not gotten together yet to make what needs to happen. So we are leaving it open. However, anyone that would like to speak, well, I don't have to open it actually because it's open. Anyone who would like to speak for or against could do that at this time. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Blair Chicarelli, for full transparency, my in-laws, Peter and Charles Piscar, gave us the north on his property, and I'm speaking on their behalf. I do have some concerns in reviewing the variance request. It appears currently, to my eye, in reviewing town zoning codes that the way this structure was currently built, was in violation of several codes from non-conforming lots, non-conforming structures, and due to the large nature of this newly built or framed, let's say, residence, they're requesting variance for the septic system that would be closer to neighboring lot lines. New York State Department of Health minimum lines require 10 feet setback. The request in this property is 3'6". In addition to that, my understanding is that the zoning on this piece of land is 1 unit for 1.1 acres. It was previously a non-conforming lot with 2 non-conforming structures, making 2 small cabins with 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom each that had been there for quite some time on a 4/10 of an acre lot. Access to this property is through an easement through my in-laws driveway, and in looking at the new structure, which was built a 3,700 square foot home on the property, there's leaving no other space for the septic to go inside. I'm asking for a variance on the adjacent property line to the property to the north. You know, I'm trying to be brief here, but there are in my eyes several zoning concerns in section 160 from transition of non-conforming structures to size, increasing the size of the units, in addition, increasing bedrooms, from 4 to potentially 8 bedrooms on a 4/10 of an acre lakeside lot. Additionally, it does appear that several of these structures are planned to be rented through an LLC, Oxford Cottages LLC, and that also appears to be in non-compliance with zoning laws that are on both sections. Yeah, certainly. There's some of those, but again, we're going to have a separate hearing for this. Maybe that would be part of the time next week to discuss that further. I guess in summation, I think it's quite premature to be talking about a separate variance on a lot for this board when there's several zoning concerns which seem to be both in the letter of the law and in the spirit of the law kind of violate these issues. And I do have concerns going forward about the precedent this type of project would set in a community such as this. I say this is a lifelong Bolton resident, born and raised, family members, grandparents, parents have served on local planning, zoning boards. My brother-in-law currently serves as well in this capacity. So I do have some experience in the setting. I just feel this is a very dangerous precedent to set in the setting of both town and lake agencies such as Lake George Park Commission, going through extensive concerns to update lakeside septic systems and such. And I just feel this is having a significant negative impact to the greater community and lake as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, before we go any further, if you're going to wish to speak from the audience, we ask that you step up so the people on the Zoom meeting can hear you, so we open the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's not a problem. I should have said it earlier. It's my fault. And we do have a lady from Zoom who wishes to speak. She's got her hand raised.
So Stephanie Bitter, who's the attorney for the Siskas and Callie Sullivan, would like to speak. Can you unmute her, Mike, Tim?
Just send her, go ahead. She's got her hand raised.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I did speak up at the last meeting and I do appreciate that you're gonna keep this public hearing open to next week. Just to reiterate some of the concerns that I raised. I did give you documentation outlining the concerns that were raised by the Siskas and Callie Sullivan. I believe the prior speaker was saying something similar, that we have serious concerns about the zoning compliance of this project. We would ask again that if the zoning administrator doesn't feel that it's erroneous, that the town board consider sending this for an interpretation to the zoning board, because this will set a very bad precedent going forward for other projects in the community. And we think that it is very important for the town to take this seriously at this juncture. Again, there are many little cabins, or 2 little cabins that have been commercially rented. It's our understanding that the applicant intends to rent this structure for the future. So in evaluating this septic variance, it's very much necessary to think about the extensive use of this property that is anticipated, and to make sure that whatever is being provided for can sustain the use that's being proposed. with that being said, we do not support these septic variances. We think that when you evaluate the factors, there's no reason for these septic variances to be granted. There's no unnecessary hardship for this parcel. There's no deprivation of property. There's no special circumstances. And we have serious concerns that there will be detrimental effects to the adjacent parcels. I do realize that I reiterated this or stated this all at last month's meeting, but I just want you to strictly look at this application and recognize that there's no necessity for these septic variances for them to reasonably use their property because there was already 2 cabins there that had the ability to sleep 9 in one and 5 in the other. And now on top of that, there is a 4-bedroom house that's being proposed. That being said, I just made a submission to the supervisor with some follow-up questions. I know at the last meeting, there was discussions about a retaining wall that was constructed as part of the project and whether or not that retaining wall needed a variance. We would ask that the town board respond to that before the public hearing is closed. We also would ask that the board consider whether or not, as I had mentioned before, this entire project should be reevaluated because pursuant to your code, a site plan review cannot be granted until the applicant is in compliance with all provisions of the code. And because this variance, this septic variance is being reviewed because of a procedural error, it is our position that requires you to reopen this entire project to reevaluate the site plan as well as the zoning compliance determination. And last but not least, I would ask that when you review these septic variances, you look at this as if that house wasn't there, because that's exactly the way you should have looked at it from the beginning. And for 2 follow-up things for Cedarwood, we would ask that we consider whether or not all the necessary variances are being sought, because variance number 1 talks about setback to the corner of the properties. We just want to make sure that we're talking about both the northern and western corner, because we understand encroachments are happening on both of those items. And then we also would make sure that Cedarwood is looking at the stormwater and that it's all being contained on the applicant's property with these proposals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bitters. Would anyone else like to speak for or against on this particular case? Oxford Cottages at /Lee Cunningham at 4 Silver Bay Road. Okay,
Do we have your comments in writing? Have you submitted those to us?
That was just off the top, sir.
Thank you.
I could certainly, I have on my, I can show you, I've spent, should I stand up? Sorry. I spent a fair amount of time, this afternoon looking at Ada County Code specifically, where building goes through, Article 3 of the General Provisions, Section 160.
160.
Starting with definitions, from both accessory structure and accessory use, also the guest size determinations. It now looks like there are 3 individual structures.
Yeah, I understand that. I appreciate that, and you're welcome to submit that information.
I would be happy to, I'm happy to before, the open hearing next week. Or I could bring it next week if that's easier.
It's up to you.
If you would like to submit it to the town clerk, and I can put it out to the town board members, so they have a chance to review all items before.
Is email an appropriate way to submit?
Yeah, town clerk, town of Hague, or the town board members individually. Their emails are all on the town of Hague website.
So I can individually email to the town board and as well as the town clerk?
yes.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it's always good to send things to the town supervisor and the town board. However, the town clerk is our point person for all documentation received by the town of Hague.
Thank you.
Well, for everybody. So, 2 things. On the agenda here, you'll see that we would like to hold a special town board meeting February 20th. I just 2 minutes before 6 here got a call from the town's representation that he is actually has a conflict. He made a mistake on the 20th, and he's wondering if we can all accommodate to have that meeting on the 22nd, February 22nd at 6 p.m. I'm hoping that anyone that has an interest in this particular variance case would be willing to make that happen. And so I think we'll just set the special town board meeting for, is the town board going to be able to make that work?
It's my birthday, but I can come.
Oh,
I'll
no.
have a cake for you. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else not able to make that work? Okay. So for the record, a special town board meeting will be held February 22nd, Thursday, 2024 at the Hague Community Center at 6 p.m. to continue the public hearing for Oxford Cottages / Lee Cunningham at 4 Silver Bay Road, tax map number 76.20-1-3.2. We're going to leave this public hearing open, as I previously said. I also would just like to submit a disclosure on this particular case. Peter Siska is one of the neighbor to the north of this particular property. And I have done work professionally for the brothers of Peter, Rob and Fran Siska. Not going to go into detail, but I have done some professional work for them. However, I will make clear for the record, I remain objective. Okay. We will then move on to another public hearing, which is Ellie Hitzrott at 24 Tower Point Road, tax map number 76.12-1-14. We have the engineer for Ellie Hitzrott here tonight? Do not. Okay. Well, would anyone here like to speak for or against the Ellie Hitzrott at 24 Tower Point Road?
Can you unmute him, Tim?
Yes, thank you. My name is Ellie Hitzrow. It can be Hitzrott, but it's Hitzrow usually. Hi, everybody. My husband Stu Foreman is also here with me. We thought the engineer would be here to answer questions, but I just wanted to know if anybody has questions that I can answer. I'm glad to do so. And
what kind of information do you need from us?
I mean, I have actually, I have Cedarwood's proposal here.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have a lot of different documentation here, and I guess we're not guessing. We're just wondering if you've complied with everything in this Cedarwood recommendation as it pertains to your property.
We haven't made any changes to the property yet.
no. He's just talking about the plan, I think. And yes, and the plan, as far as we know, we're leaving it in the hands of Eric Sandblom, who's the SRA engineers. And he was supposed to be here to answer any questions about that. But he, according to what I know from him, is that he had been working with the town engineering department about this. So that's all I know.
Okay. It sounds like it would be intelligent for us to conclude this matter at a later date, considering Mr. Sandblom is not here to
Answer any questions. Yes.
I'm leaning in that direction.
Okay.
I think it's really the town's option whether or not we want to leave the public hearing or close the public hearing. I don't see any reason why we can't close it. However, I'm just going to err on the side of caution and leave it open.
Okay.
So we will be leaving this public hearing open as well. And except this public hearing will be reviewed again at the March Town Board meeting, second Tuesday of March.
Second Tuesday of March. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So we have 3 other public hearings, and I'll just preface this. These 3 public hearings, I'm just going to go through it by name real quick. Thomas boy, I'm never gonna. Simonak, David Lance Clark, and Mike and Beth Reagan. We are going to open each of these, and we're going to be forced to leave these open all as well because of this emergency that took place. We haven't gotten the review from Cedarwood Engineering to be able to compare the two engineering analyses to make our final decision. But because we've already sent out all these notices and we've already put it in the paper and all the abutting letters have gone out, we're just going to continue as planned in an effort to save taxpayer money and to give every person the opportunity to come and speak once we have all the information present. So I'd like to ask somebody of the board to open the public hearing for Thomas Simonak. I'm butchering that, aren't I? At 5 Grayford Way, tax map number 12.18-1-29.2. Would anyone from the town board like to make a motion to open the hearing? Anyone like to second it? All right, all those in favor? Aye. So the public hearing is now open. We would like to ask anyone online or here in person if they'd like to speak for or against. Oh, actually, I skipped that part. Would you give an overview for us, please?
Yeah,
sir?
that's fine.
I apologize.
No worries. Good evening. My name is Bob Holmes. I'm with Holmes Engineers. I'm the design engineer for Mr. Simonak. I know the board has seen a brief presentation on this here a month ago. But I figured I can just give you a quick rundown of what we're looking at, what we're doing. And if you give me 30 seconds, I can flip the pages here. Considering I'm here for multiple projects as a legal flip for Mr. Simonak.
Take your time.
Okay, just a quick rundown of what the proposal for this project entails. Is we're here before you tonight because obviously we are seeking variances from the town wastewater code and some additional established by the New York State Department of Health. We are seeking 8 variances for this project. We're in the area of just south of Indian Kettles. And I would imagine all of you know that's an area that's quite a bit. We got steep slopes, many undersized or non-conforming lots that exist there by current zoning standards today. Just a few items to run through. I can just give you a rundown. This variance number 1 that we were seeking on it. This would be a variance from the TOA fill of the proposed leaching system to a property line. Specifically, this would be to the southern property line to an adjoining neighbor immediately to the south. Actually, it would be Mr. DeFranco, who's here this evening. The current plan as we propose, the requirements for compliance is a 10-foot setback from the property. We are asking relief down to 3-foot setback. And just so you know, to provide a bit of context, that we are constructing a mound system that will be built above existing grade. And the leaching system or the bed that sits in it largely lies in the same location as the current wastewater system. The standards established by the town and the New York State Department of Health says when reviewing a variance that measurement is taken from the toe of the fill, not from the actual leaching device itself. But in an effort to provide that context, the actual leaching device is largely in the footprint of the existing system that would be removed. Going on to variance number 2, this would be the property line to the New York State DOT right away for Lakeshore Drive Route 9N. We're proposing on that we're, again, it's a 10-foot setback, seeking relief down to 1'6". And that actually takes into combination, not only the toe of the fill from the leaching system, but we are also providing a groundwater and surface water cutoff trench to divert mountainside runoff, roadside runoff from 9N to get it around our system. I've learned over my 27 years of doing this work that Indian kettles and areas of Hague can be notorious for the amount of water that sheds off the mountains to the west. It heads towards Lake George. So part of this is we believe it's prudent to cut that groundwater off and allow the system to remain in essence high and dry, provide that unsaturated vertical separation to groundwater to provide the sufficient treatment. Again, variance number 3 that we're seeking, this is a standard that's established by town code and the New York State Department of Health for the placement of a mound system. It requires that the slope of the existing ground be at or less than 12%. Because this lot is small in nature, my belief in preparing these plans, that this is the best location on the property to reconstruct the existing system to meet newer, more stringent regulations. And then obviously we're here because we know we can't fully comply with those standards. That's why we're before you as the town board seeking these waivers or variances.
What are, now that you just requesting a waiver of the whole requirement, because you're not getting it to 6% or anything like that.
It's the case, we can't change existing grade. Existing slope, existing grade is what it is as it exists today. We just know that the area on the property, in my belief, in my professional opinion, is the most conducive location to reestablish, relocate, or not relocate, but rebuild and replace the existing severely distressed, classified actually as a failure by the Lake George Park Commission. So obviously that's what we're trying to do. And we believe that a new system in this configuration will be a substantial improvement over what is currently there. Number 4, just a quick breakdown on that the size of the system, we're seeking a bit of relief on the size of the actual leaching device itself. Just because of the space available, we physically cannot make it fit in the area that's available to us to not only avoid existing retaining walls on the property, avoid a driveway that sits just below the system that is also deeded access, deeded right away to the neighbors to the south, and then trying to fit it on that slope. So what we have done is the system we're proposing is an Elgin in-drain system, which I know some of you as board members have seen these before. That for a replacement, we've utilized guidance from the New York State Elgin Corporation design manual for a replacement system. So instead of applying the New York State Department of Health standard for sizing the system, we're working with the Elgin in-drain design manual. It comes direct from the manufacturer. So that is why, because we're utilizing the manufacturer standard, that is a relief that we are seeking from Town Code, New York State Department of Health Code. Because otherwise, if we were to maintain the Department of Health Code, we just physically do not have the space to make this system fit. You know, we have designed systems of this nature throughout the basin successfully, and they continue to operate today with these accelerated applications. Number 5, the slope off the system. Again, this has to deal more with the space available on the property to facilitate this new system. That the standard from New York State Department of Health is the slope off the top of the mound should maintain a minimum of 3-on-1, meaning a 3 horizontal distance, meaning for every 3 feet of horizontal distance, it drops 1 foot. Due to the topographic relief on the property, we're seeking to make that a steeper section in order to make it back to the ground below. And we do have standards in our design with regards to steep slopes, that slope can be stabilized with fabrics, things of that nature, to keep that from going. Number 6, it's a setback relief to the on-site well for Mr. Simonek. On the plans, the minimum setback for a leaching device is 100 feet. On our application, we seek relief to go to 94 feet. One caveat that I wish to bring to the board's attention, that on Friday, when we did a stakeout of the system, we found that there was a bit of discrepancy between aerial photography, survey, things of that nature, that once we laid out the system, we found that number is not exactly 94 feet. We're actually falling a bit below that. We're in the 77 to 80 foot range for that. So there is a bit reduction there, but full disclosure, I just need to bring it to the board's attention. And that would be something, as time goes on, when the plans get revised, we would make corrected notation of what that setback would be. Number seven and 8 for these variances are 2 standards established in the town of Hay code. One, for the placement of a fill system, the town requires that a minimum of 2 feet of usable soil exists above groundwater and/or bedrock. When we did our deep test pits percolation test on the property, we found that we only had about, I may have to put my glasses on, but we only had about 21 inches of usable soil. And before I speak out of turn, we'll verify that because I can't quite read it.
No, that's what you said.
That's what it is.
What's that?
That's what it is. 21.
Okay, all right. And then number 8, again, a similar scenario. This has to deal with wastewater systems within 1,000 feet of the shoreline of Lake George. That the town standard requires 5 feet or 60 inches of available usable soils. Again, from our field work that was completed, we have only been able to document 21 inches of usable soil. These are standard. This is nothing that we can adjust, manipulate. It's the case under the design. We have to make sure we can accommodate and provide sufficient protections to make sure we're going to meet the requirements for vertical separation. And then I can get in briefly. I'll just get in. I know that the board has received some correspondence and some comments, concerns from neighbors that there's a few things that I just wanted to bring up. One concern that was raised by Mr. DeFranco was the number of bedrooms for the property. The Lake George Park Commission inspection, my review of the system, review of the state, review of records that are on file here at the town. It is a 4-bedroom home with the inclusion of a jet tub, meaning it's a normal size full tub, but it has jets in it. And the requirement for having a jacuzzi tub is the septic tank needs to be upsized by 250 gallons. So we have 4-bedroom capacity at 1,250 gallons for a septic tank for 4 bedrooms, plus 250 gallons for a jet tub. And there was confusion and ambiguity created by the Lake George Park Commission in their inspection that initially they believed that the system, meaning the leaching system that we're placing up and which we're seeking relief from, required it to be sized for 5 bedrooms. And that's not the case. And I actually have correspondence provided by their on-site inspectors from the Park Commission that they had misinterpreted that section of code in their regulation, and they had confirmation from the Department of Health that we're sizing the system for 4 bedrooms. We're not sizing the leaching system for 5 bedrooms. Few others. I guess, Mr. Supervisor, I might say, I'll stop here, but I'd like, once you get into public comment, if you don't mind, if we hear something, would we be allowed to make additional comments? We would allow that.
See, no problem.
Okay.
At the appropriate time. Sure.
Okay.
No, just,
Yeah, I would like to,
This is Mr. Simonek, just a.
Tom Simonek, 5 Rachel Way, been there for 24 years. And thank you for entertaining this proposal. I think the thing to consider is when I first bought this lot from the Ambers, from Jackie Amber and Paul Amber in the year 2000, I took a diagram, or had the architects and Walt Porter, the builder, took a diagram to the town to look for approval with the building fit, with the septic system fit, where would the well go. All of that is on record, and the leach field septic system, as permitted, is exactly the way we installed it. It would be a great hardship to move that septic system elsewhere. And so most of the variances we're seeking now aren't new. They're new variances with regard to the system that perhaps should have been applied for previously in the year 2000, but weren't. So proximity to 9N, the well, the slope of the hill. Now remember, we're adding 3 feet of fill, we'll see in the proposal, to the system. So 3 feet of fill up against the driveway does create that slope that Bob was talking about earlier. So most of the variances conform to the way the system was installed in 2000. It was approved by the zoning administrator at the time. I forget his name, but it's in the record. So I would add, what's his name?
Paul Barone.
I'd ask you to take a look at the history as to how the leach field came to be, where it is placed, and what variances were allowed at the time.
What year was that again? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
What year was that when you first?
2000.
2000?
The application for construction of that was submitted in 2002. And I actually had the opportunity to review that with Kathy Clark.
Yeah, I just had a question.
Sure.
So, I'm looking at this, and so the right of way, step forward, would you, Bob?
Yep.
When you're talking about a right of way, you're talking over here, right? They come down and the right of way going over here. Is that correct?
That comes down the driveway, that's the neighbor to the north. I'm referring here to the south side.
There's a right of way to use.
There's a
this
right of way through Mr. Simonek's parking area driveway for Mr. DeFranco, and I believe the next lot to the south to access their properties across the, what's, I guess,
That's
known as Brayford Lane.
Okay, that answers my question. Okay, thank you.
So I'd like to finish. What I'd like the board to consider are the 3 major improvements we're making. Replacing septic seepage pits with the Elgin system, a tremendous improvement. That's a filtration system, I'm sure you're familiar with it. The channel drains we're putting to handle groundwater coming off the mountain, to move it away from the system to better control water. And I know Mr. Franklin will have something to say about that, but that's a major improvement. And the substantial fill we're adding to increase the size of the leach area. So as you know, the Elgin system is a broader distribution as compared to seepage pits. And so we're adding additional fill. So I think those 3 things are major improvements to what has already been approved by the board previously. The Elgin system, channel drains, and additional fill. So I appreciate you considering my request.
Okay. Yeah, would anyone from the audience or online like to speak for or against? Yeah, please, if you wish.
Okay, I want to just comment too, first, right, and I'm gonna have the engineer interact with me a little bit too, but I'm gonna need just a little assistance to bring over some of my models. I am not an engineer. I'm a scientist. I look at things a little differently, but I think sometimes when they're in my mind, I think I have to bring them out. This is the septic plan for the initial system. It is 2 circles, 3 squares. And if you note something, since I own the adjoining properties, it shows, I'm going to put this the way it's correct. And I don't know how to hold this because I want to show everybody, but the orientation of this plan, the lake is here. The orientation of 2 seepage pits are this way, not that way. There's no dimensions for lot lines at all, none. And I think to preface the whole thing, I have major concerns, and it's not personally, and it has nothing to do personally against Mr. Simonek. I am concerned the Lake George Park Commission has made this, we're going to inspect all these systems. And there is a note from my lawyer. And his question to me was, if they approve 8 variances, they open up a can of worms. And I understand that because I can now ask for 8 variances. Okay? My next door neighbor can ask for 8. My major concern for the last 40 years, my business after leaving teaching was to protect the lake. That is my concern. It is not my lake. It's not your lake. It's everybody's lake. And it just so happens, my wife says I ramble, but I just have to throw these out. And then I need someone to give me a hand bringing the models over. And the models are for everybody. I want you to see slope. I want you to understand erosion. That is my background. Chemistry, physics, earth science, biology. That's where I come from. But I preface this whole thing that at my doctor's appointment today, I developed diverticulitis last Wednesday. And I'm going to show you the miracle box known as Elgin, and I call it a miracle box. It is a phenomenal system. I want to preface that. It is great. My miracle was those antibiotics that people were so afraid science develops. In 4 days, it's gone. I feel better. But just a quote from my doctor, he said, my best friend flew over Lake George, Bolton Landing, and he could see down 60, 80 feet in 1950. He said, I thought I was in the Caribbean. You don't see down 80 feet anymore. And even in our bay, if you have noticed, but I have noticed, that has dropped in half. So that tells us something about stuff going in the lake. And that is my concern. And that's what I'm going to show. And I also want to preface something. I am more than happy to sit down with the engineer and go over anything that I point out that they could explain to me, and they might be able to help me right now. So could I maybe use the map if I have to?
Absolutely.
But can I just have somebody just give me a hand? Bring those. See, this is why they don't let me do anything. And I told you last time when I was here, this is my second public hearing. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I've missed a lot of meetings here. And I think it's very important that I recognize I've been very impressed with the last meeting that I came to attend this meeting, and I just need the board to understand. Since I taught in this building, I kind of get emotional. Thank you very much. I don't know where I should put these. Okay. My wife says to me, people don't understand when you do numbers. You know, when someone says 3 horizontal, 1 vertical, whatever, and then someone says speed, velocity, all these formulas that we have to learn. Well, maybe I should just go through some of these little demonstrations. This is the magic box known as the Elgin module. And I wish I designed it because it's nothing more than plastic materials wrapped in fabric. 7 inches, the system they're putting in 3 feet by 4 feet. They are recommending 16 of these modules. This is a mini just to show you what it is. But it is a magic box because what it has is all this biomass, which is so important, and it has spots in here for the bacteria to eat the sewage that's coming from the tank. The effluent gets eaten by the bacteria, just like the bacteria in my gut went bad. So we have bad ones and good ones. The good ones are eaten. So that's the module. Okay, this just is a little model. We talk about the slope. Okay? Recommended, required, 3-in-1. I bought these magic rulers. This is 3-in-1 slope. This, maybe I can turn it so the board could actually see it. This is what they're recommending. And I am not criticizing the slopes. I am showing visually, because it's very important. You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. When you ask the question like 3, what does this mean? This is a 1 in 5 slope. Okay, so it's 1 in 5 horizontally, 1 foot vertical. This is a 2 horizontal, 1 foot vertical. This is a 3, 1 foot vertical. This is required. This is what is being proposed. I'm always in the gutter, so I figured I'd bring one. And I think that's a model. That's all it is 3-foot model. This is 10 feet. Okay? This is the 10-foot separation that is required for your property line. 10-foot gutter. So let's do the same thing, but let's extend all those little variables. This is now a 9, 10, we'll call it a 10-foot. So we're going to go 10 feet vertically, 3 feet high now. Because this is more indicative of what is required. Now, let's go next to 2 feet. So do I have this backwards? Oh, excuse me. Let's just turn around. It doesn't really matter because it's just the numbers.
Should I be saying?
I'm just I don't. This is believe me. This is a 2-foot vertical. Excuse me. This is a 2-foot vertical, but I converted 3 feet, so it's really 10. It's going out, so to speak, 10 feet. It's a 10-foot gutter, but it's emulating the same concept, just making it longer. This is so 2 feet horizontal, 1 foot high. I did it 3 times. So basically I'm at 6 feet, okay? But I extended it so you can see that it's the same. Let's go to 1.5. So that's 1.5, 3 times, so it's 4.5 feet horizontal, 3 feet vertical. Can you see that there is an impact with erosion? Velocity? Okay, my last demonstration on this part requires this. And could I ask a favor of you? Would you just put your foot at the end of this strutter? And I'm going to do the required. So I can take my Volkswagen that I had in 1965. Mine was green. Ready?
Ready.
Okay, I gotta move it. Ready? Had an accident. Okay. Let's get it at the level, so it won't change. Again, it's relative. This is 1.5 horizontal, 1 vertical. I converted it to 3 feet, so I tripled it. Ready? Okay, now, is there any difference in the speed of those vehicles? Is there possible that? I think that's the point I wanted to make. And
Keep it in the car.
thank you for your help. I'm gonna bring you lunch tomorrow.
That-
And I know these are out of order, but when we talked about, when you had the question about like soils and stuff like that, this is existing soil, 21 inches. This is what the requirement says 5 feet of soil, native soil. So the brown is 5, the green is what's available to them. Now, I'm not saying it correct totally, but I just think, and this is not just for my project, this is an educational thing, because I think people have to understand it has an impact. I have spent 40 years with erosion, soils, and the lake. And that is my concern. I'm just very concerned people might realize that if we have erosion, it's an issue. Can I just, maybe, sure, have some consistent. Actually, since you're doing this, I'll have to find you on me.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm making sure here. Carry this one. Thank you. And just so you know, public and the board, Mr. Patrick has been able to talk to me about something that I would like to do. Since they informed me 2 days ago, I am still the town naturalist, which I didn't know. I thought I was in that position 10 years ago. I would like to have the representatives from these different types of septic systems come in and do a presentation so you are more informed. And I just think it helps me and everybody else. Okay, this is a little model I made. We talked about what is required as far as the slope that is required in the existing soil. This is what they recommend, 12% or less. This is the existing slope. Now that angle is only 25% more. So going back to the same thing, because they're really all like the same thing, it does have an effect on erosion, stormwater. But yes, it's going to be replaced with soil, so that is an issue. That's covered. The last one has to do with the proposal about what is required for the, make sure I get it right, the gallons per day per square foot. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that basal area has like 855 square feet. And we usually figure the septic systems at 110 gallons per bedroom. So basically the system is designed for 440 gallons per day. Am I saying that correctly? Okay, obviously 2 people in the house, so they're not using 4 bedrooms unless they're playing with magical chairs or something. So they're not using 4 bedrooms most of the time. There's only a few people in the house, but still, this is the amount. This is 0.7 gallons per day per square foot. Well, that's here, you know. This is what is being proposed at 1.17 gallons per day, better known as 150 inches or ounces, excuse me, ounces. I think it does make a difference. And again, the Elgin system, actually speaking to some of the people in Elgin, it is a very good system. Right site, right system. And I guess the last thing, I put out some photos because I felt, let me see a little segue. I put some photos together. My looks, oh, I did it. I did. Yeah, that's good. I'll take care. It's exactly what my wife said, it's spillable. Okay, so anyway, I took photos. My major concern is the erosion and runoff that is already existing on the site. And I think I would like to speak to the engineer, not now, but sometime between now and the next meeting. We can go over some of the things, and you may have noticed that I also ran a line. I tried to stay on state highway, but I think some of those markings are actually over the state highway, the drains, etc. And I think that's important, and I want to make sure it's done right. And I'm not saying the system cannot be put there, but there's some papers that I'll pass out to the board. There are some of the conditions that were available. So, and just to close, my concern again, is the lake. If we approve systems and they are kind of questionable and they impact the lake, and as they have mentioned, there's like many substandard lots, and there's no sewer from Forest Bay down to Rogers Rock. And I think I counted somewhere in the vicinity between 40 and 50 homes that probably are going to have some problems. And if we are going to just forget all these regulations and modify them, then you have to give them to me, my neighbor, and other people. You know, my wife said, why don't you give this example? Would you buy a car with 8 problems? Would you buy a home that has 8 problems? So that's my point. I think we can correct some of them, but it's important that we do the right thing. I'm sorry, I took more time.
No, thank you. Thank you,
May I
Mr.
speak
Frank.
again?
What's that?
Can I speak again?
Certainly.
Thanks. This would, I think we have to recognize, this would be persuasive if this were new construction. What we're doing is a renovation of what has already been permitted by the town. Town has permitted this slope, the location, the set asides, the setbacks. Remember the improvements we're making, the channel drain system, the additional fill. What's the third item? Oh, and the Elgin system. What exists now are seepage pits that are 5 feet deep by 8 feet wide. I'm not asking that we reinstate the seepage pits or even make them bigger or do anything with seepage pits. I agree, the current system is deficient, and technology allows us to improve the system with those 3 items. That makes a lot of sense. It's a tremendous improvement over what's there currently. So maybe there's an opportunity to get together. We've already talked about perhaps moving the system north from your property line. If we can accommodate that, great. But I think we got to look at what's good about the system and the vast improvement over what's already been permitted. With regard to these 8 variances, most of those variances apply to the system, the field that was already permitted by the town.
You know, and I agree with you on that, Tom, completely, except I feel that when precedent is set, and the precedent was set in 2002, when they approved that without having a scale map, it is embarrassing. I was on the planning board in 1970s. We would get on napkins. This is an upgrade. It's 8.5 by 11. And no markers. They needed variances. It should have went to a hearing, and it didn't.
What happened in the past happened in the past.
I know
I
that.
submitted the drawings, I submitted the schematics, they were approved, I installed the system exactly per the
But
document.
that's what I'm saying. It's, I think the town has to understand that it was their mistake. Not yours. You submitted them.
Gentlemen, we don't want to back and forth. If you're gonna
So,
speak, go one time and then this isn't a debate, though. I'm just saying, I respect you both.
Let's just be, and we can, I think, resolve a lot of those things.
Right. No problem, though, if you want to each have a turn. We just don't want to debate. forum
I
here.
apologize.
No, I mean, probably my fault. I should have spoke up sooner. Did anyone else want to speak for or against? Bob?
Say a few things, just ones I think, obviously addressing the board with Dave, a couple of things that I think might help. And absolutely, Tom has agreed, let's take some time to figure out, where we can ameliorate some of these concerns. Just a couple items there. I did visit the site today with Tom. I observed the string line that you had there. It looks like I may have been off in my stakeout by 4 or 5 feet, give or take. Admittedly, I was probably a little more cautious that I see what you did is you had your corner and you wish you'd run the string line. I don't like being presumptuous. I didn't venture onto your property. It probably wouldn't have been an issue, but I just felt it was, prudent on that part. What item talking about your 0.7 gallons per day application rate versus the 1.1, just a document for the board. That the 0.7 versus 1.1 is for the sizing of the bed itself and not the basal area, which is the basal area is the interface of the fill material with the existing grade or the existing soil. And that existing soil, that interface is sized at the minimum of the 0.7 gallons per day application rate. So it's only the configuration of the Elgins, the 2 laterals we have there, 11 by 32, if I remember correctly. That's what's sized at the 1.1 gallons per day per the Elgin design unit, not the DOH standard. Again, I guess comes back to the physical of that. And the other one on it, Dave, I'm confident that we can address erosion on the steeper slope that we're requesting. We've got engineered solutions that we can do that, whether it's matting, vegetation solutions, things of that nature. We can address a lot of that.
Thank you for clarifying that to me. And also, I want to thank you for staking it out.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
When can you, sorry,
go ahead. Mr. Simmons.
when can you guys, get together and resolve some of these differences?
I'm taking my wife to.
Let's
Can I?
go ahead.
I'm taking my wife for her second cataract surgery on Thursday, so I'm not available probably until sometime maybe next week. Or, I don't know, tomorrow.
Let's start an email chain. We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say tomorrow?
Yeah, actually, yes, I'm sorry. One last thing, and I promise we'll speak to you. One of the things that would be helpful for both us, for Mr. Sim, I think is the applicant, myself as the design engineer, and Dave is the Cedarwood comments, which I know has bearing that you take that guidance into consideration. What can be done. That will be beneficial for us.
Right. And
Yeah.
everybody.
Discussion.
The town board can't act until we receive the Cedarwood, proposals. Matt?
So the end of the sewer district is in Forest Bay, the last part of Forest Bay, which is not that far from all of these properties. And a lot of people are gonna be in the same issue as that gentleman there. That they're gonna find get some problems along the lake. Is it feasible to start another sewer district for the property owners or not?
I don't know the answer to that question. But I certainly would I think if we had another one, it would certainly help Lake George. That would be
That's what everybody's concerned.
Chris, did you want to comment? I see Mr. Novinsky back there.
Yeah, Chris Navitsky, Lake Board. I just had a question, and I thought I heard there's gonna be a cutoff drain or something from the uphill, and I'm just wondering where that would go. That's a practice they put in to capture the upland runoff. But a lot of times what you're doing is you're taking groundwater and is it gonna daylight it and then you're making the surface. So I just didn't know if I just have a question, what would happen?
I can answer that.
Go ahead,
But
please.
I know you're sick of hearing from me, but to answer that question, that we do have a cutoff trench that will daylight, and for Mr. DeFranco, that we initially on our plan show it on along the south property line. Mr. DeFranco expressed some concerns, so in my conversation with Mr. Simonek, we have the ability of relocating that to the north side of the system to get it well away from the property line. And it actually can get that groundwater can get into some of the existing drainage that is there on the property. I actually found evidence of a stone trench near his retaining wall. Have a region of place.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we've got everyone on this topic. This
Could I-
particular.
Oh, could I ask a question, Josh? It's Ginger. I would just like to know, what is the alternative? I think that, it might be good for the town board to hear. If you did, for instance, and I'm not recommending you not approve or approve, but if you were not able to approve this, what is the alternative?
Holding tanks? I'm not an engineer. I would think holding tanks, if you can't approve it, potentially across the street, he'd have boring under the road and a pump station going under the road. I mean, but these are all very complex things to achieve, and I don't have the right answer to that question, but I'm just throwing information out there. Is that all, Ginger?
No, I just wondered if, like, for instance, a smaller system would be an option, or if it would have to go to holding tanks. That was what I was wondering.
I think when you reduce the size of the system, it creates more of a liability for the cleanliness of Lake George, I think. At least that's the way I view it.
Greater variance.
Right.
Yeah. Cedarwood.
Okay, we're waiting on Cedarwood again. What's that now? We're not there yet, Mary Lou. We're not on the floor, but I appreciate you. So anyway, this public hearing will be left open until the March meeting, second Tuesday in March. Would anyone from the town board like to open the public hearing for David Lance Clark at 9657 Lakeshore Drive, tax map number 112.14-1-18.1.
I'll open.
Anyone like to second that? Second. All those in favor? Hey, do we have an engineer here for the David Lance Clark property?
Hi, I'm still Bob Holmes.
Oh, no. Oh.
Where's Tom going? He's gone.
Yeah.
Tom's sneaking out because these are my projects. He told me.
Right, okay.
Look at the page here.
I know, right. He's open, right, we don't have to redo all. Good, that makes sense, absolutely.
Yep. All right, I guess I kind of run through it again, very similar to what we did for Mr. Simonek. I'm here with Lance Clark. He's also here in the audience with me. He's my client. Again, this is another Elgin mound system. This is, again, another one of those small non-conforming lots that's located in the Indian Kettles neighborhood. So we're again dealing with the mountainside runoff. We don't have a lot of great usable existing soil. So we're again going to build it up. We're proposing a cutoff trench to intercept surface water coming off the mountain, to intercept existing groundwater, to try to lower that and provide that unsaturated zone of soil beneath the Elgin system to provide that vertical separation. The variances we're seeking, we are seeking 5 variances in this instance. One item, I wasn't going to belabor this with Mr. Simonek, that recent history with projects that I've done throughout the basin. with the advent of the new park commission regulations, a little bit stiffer eye looking at the reviews of these projects. The number of variances being requested for these pre-existing non-conforming lots is inching up. Where historically we might have gotten away with 3 or 4 variances, we're now headed for that, unfortunately, 7, 8 variances or more. I don't have a solution for that. To me, it is what it is, and I want to make sure I'm presenting as full disclosure where we know we are having to deviate from these systems in order to provide the board, the town review engineer, the best information possible when you are considering these variance requests. So, real quick, just running through the variances we're requesting. Elgin Mound, first variance we're seeking is Mr. Clark's existing drilled well is 79 feet plus or minus from the proposed system, not the 100-foot required by DOH town regulations. Number 2, on the south side of the south side of the proposed system, we're fair proximity to a property line and an existing mountainside runoff ditch channel where you got. So run the absorption field setback to a drainage ditch, minimum requirements 20 feet. Existing, we figure right now with the existing system, which is in the same location, it's around 27 feet. We're proposing 14 foot. And again, this is from the toe of the fill material and not the actual leaching devices themselves, which again, in this instance, very similar to the prior application, the proposed leaching laterals, the leach bed itself matches up very, very similar to the existing system that again is showing signs of distress, does not meet current requirements under the inspections for the park commission. As I alluded to, variance number 3 from toe of fill to the property line, 10-foot setback to a property line, we're proposing a 3-foot setback. Now, if we were to actually measure to the leach bed itself, that number actually would increase to around 14 feet. So because we're adding this additional vertical separation, we do have to bring import fill material. So we're now measuring from the toe of the fill, not the actual leaching device.
What is the toe of fill number again?
The setback to toe of fill. The setback we're proposing to toe of fill to the property line is 3 feet.
Thank you.
Opposed to 10. And again, variances number 4 and 5. Town standards, chapter 132. This has to deal with the presence of existing unsaturated soils or existing usable soils. For a fill system, 2 feet minimum required for for a fill system. Actually, coincidentally, you're proposing, we have, when we did on-site system or on-site investigation, we found 21 inches of usable soil. So we're not quite at that 2-foot requirement. And again, for a wastewater system located within 1,000 feet of Lake George, the town standard requires 5 feet of usable soil. Again, we only have 21 inches of soil that's there, but we have modified the design such to provide approximately 3 foot 6 inches of vertical separation, which that 3 foot is the minimum standard required from the town, or I'm sorry, from the Lake George Park Commission for vertical separation of ground. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Does anyone of the board have any questions? No, we will see it. Okay. Would anyone here today like to speak for or against? Yes.
No engineer, but just take two points. One is that this location, I think, is the only place you can put the system. There's, you'll see in our yard, it's not a place you want to do it lawn over, but on your distance to the well, unchanged. Same system in located where it was before is the same distance to get to the well. I think, Bobby, we'll talk a bit more about the toe. But in terms of the toe, the outside support to raise the, which gets used in this system, requires, slope support around the sides. But it doesn't put the leach field any closer to my neighbor's, drainage ditch to the property. Because the leach field is essentially in the same place it was before. So I think the way he's proposing, kind of surprised us, you've never had a problem system before. But suddenly someone came in and said, you're gonna have to, replace the whole thing. And you're gonna have to replace it right here. But I think that this new system is a lot more power than we had before. But much better system over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against? Okay. So we're going to be leaving this public hearing open also, again, at the March 2nd, excuse me, second Tuesday of March town board meeting. We will have the Cedarwood reviews by then and be able to conclude the public hearing at that point. So we also have Mike and Beth Reagan here tonight on the agenda at 7929 and 7931 Lakeshore Drive, tax map number 93.12-1-24.1 and 93.12-1-24.2. Would anyone like from the town board like to make a motion to open that public hearing? Anyone like to second it? All those in favor? Aye. Carried. Do we have an engineer for Mike and Beth Reagan here tonight?
Surprise.
I hate to stand up. All right, we'll flip the page first.
I know where this is at. Yeah.
Okay, again, Bob Holmes, Holmes Engineers here on behalf of the Reagan family. Well, let's move to the other end of town now.
There you go.
Silver Bay, just below Silver Bay right now, almost the Sabbath day. Again, Elgin Mound. We like working with proven technology. The existing property here actually consists of two parcels that's owned by the same family. The front parcel, right, that has frontage right on Lakeshore Drive, Route 9N. It has an existing one-bedroom cabin, and then behind it, there is. We have a two-bedroom, single-family residence that sits behind. Both are accessible from Shoreline Drive through the front property. The front single-bedroom cottage has a septic tank currently. It's not connected to anything. The property, it's my understanding, the cottage has not been in use for many, many years. The back residence was occupied recently. We don't know exactly the extent of what the existing system is. We know it goes out of the tank, it heads towards the back of the property, which is very low, very wet. So in order to provide the most practical solution, provide the best treatment that we possibly can to meet standards, we are seeking a couple of variances. One, the first one, again, it's not in the same order I had for the prior two projects, but the first one is usable soils within 1,000 feet of Lake George. 5 foot's required. 2.8 feet, I'm sorry, 2 foot 8 inches is existing. We will meet the vertical separation for a proposed system to do it. Second variance requested has to deal with the mound system right at the Lakeshore Drive Route 9 and right-of-way property line. We are seeking a 10-foot setback waiver variance down to 1 foot. And we do that in order to maintain separation to the existing residents and not impact other adjoining property owners as far as property goes. Number 3 is the septic tank setback to the structure. And that's the one, okay. This variance actually is for the existing 2-bedroom residence at the back. The existing septic tank and soil line discharging from the home is on the north side of the property, or on the north side of the home, wedged between the home and the property. We have found in order to fit the septic tank and propose pump stations in that location, we're looking for a more modest waiver with regards to that. Septic tank to the structure instead of 10 feet would be 7'6". So actually, we're encroaching on the structure. We are not encroaching on the neighbor's property. So that's a correction there. And number 4 is the proposed pump station. It's a little bit smaller in diameter, again, maintaining the separation to the property line, but will encroach a bit on the structure. Minimum 10-foot setback to the structure, 8 foot plus or minus proposed. Question?
Does anyone from the board have any questions? No, it's clear. Okay. Does anyone from the audience like to speak for or against? Okay. So this one, again, we are leaving open until the March meeting, the second Tuesday of March. So just to reiterate again, it's Thomas Sumayak, David Lance Clark, Mike and Beth Reagan, all being left open for the March meeting, second Tuesday. And then we have the one above it. It will be held Oxford Cottages, February 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Hague Community Center, 2024. Well, you know, we've always traditionally done these all these wastewater treatment plant variances first, so that the engineers don't have to stay for the whole thing. But it's getting to the point we might have to offer privilege of the floor first, in case somebody comes just to want to speak. So anyway, let's move to, so I just want to draw an important clarification for everyone here tonight. We allow a lot of latitude for these wastewater variances, and allowing somebody to speak to a point as long as they like we did. Mr. DeFranco went on for about 20 minutes because it's very important to the environment, to the neighbors. However, at privilege of the floor, we do ask that you make an attempt to keep it 3 minutes or less. Okay. So we're going to welcome the privilege of the floor. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Mary Lou.
On that very topic, I was talking about the side yard theory. And that topic is so comprehensive that it's 4.5 minutes.
You'll come up here so everybody can hear you. We have a lot of people on Zoom tonight. They want to hear you.
So just for brevity, I have done some research. All this information came from Wikipedia and the United States government. Official studies on the importance and the necessary issues concerning life. Somebody told me that it's really not a topic for the town board, but it really is, because all life is connected. And we said before that the cyanobacteria and the cyanotoxins, the HAPs, it can kill humans, can damage humans. You can be swimming, and if you swallow a mouthful of water and it has cyanobacteria in it, then, you'll be sick. And the wildlife is going to be horribly affected. And the, domestic animals along with making babies sick and humans. So it's been around for a long time, so there's so much information. I don't want to belabor it. So I got this information and I'll pass, I have some for the board, but I forgot here at my house. I'll get it in your mailbox.
Thank you. Okay.
And I'll pass these out. The topics are learn about cyanobacterium, cyanotoxins. This is vital because if we're building a tourist area, this is going to be a big drawback. But most of all, the lake is sacred. We want to keep it nice for everybody. And this issue is old. It's between 1 and 3 billion years old. That the cyanobacteria has been with the earth. So it's not a thing that's gonna, you know, you can just say, bury your head and it'll go away, because it's not going to go away. Run, and then, oh, David, I thought your presentation was excellent. I really thought it was really good, thank you. Visuals really help. And so I hope these visuals and the reading about this very serious problem. And our lake, like I said before, our lake is sacred. We can't live and not fight this issue. So anyway, the topics I'm passing out, maybe I'll just leave them on the table, you can take what you like. But it's learn about cyanobacteria and cyanotoxins, the cause of the HABs, cause of cyanobacterial blooms, causes of the HABs, causes of the I'm gonna say that word, so I can't say it anymore. Until the cyanobacterial blooms disappear, and our people exposed to cyanobacteria and the toxins, and they vary from kidney, liver, damage, anemia, skin cancers. I mean,
Mary Lou?
there's a bit, okay. And then then also you have to worry about the pipes in your wells. So what's being done to improve the water security so you don't get it in your house? And you can be off the lake and have pipes that can be affected. And then what can you do with the problem with your drinking water? And there's other treatment for people who've been exposed to the cyanotoxins. And what's being done to improve water security and how to protect your home's water. And potential well water, the contaminants and their impacts, floodings.
Mary Lou?
This one more. And prevent water, well leach. So I'll leave them and I'll get them to you.
Thank you. Thank you for your research, Mary. Would anyone else like to exercise privilege of the floor? Tim?
I'm gonna talk about totally different subject. But because Mr. Levinsky is here, and I observe this because I do a lot of boating, I do snorkeling, I'm all over the lake. I have seen tremendous increase in waterfowl, especially cormorants and seagulls. I grew up on the lake my whole life. They weren't seagulls when I was a kid. And I'm just wondering, is there an address? Lake Shore Park Commission, APA, anybody that's going to address some of these birds that, if they're not taken care of now, it's going to be like milfoil, like Asian plant, it's going to be, of course, it'll be a put in overnight. You go on the docks in some of these islands, you can't even walk on the docks because there's so much bird poop on them. You see some of these islands that are just whitewashed. So we're doing all we can to protect the lake from our end, septic systems and everything else. And here these birds are just moving all over the place. Boom, everywhere. So we're learning that's being addressed by that. I just want to bring that up, always been the subject, but water quality issue that I think we're all talking about.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, would anyone else like to speak for a privilege of the floor? Okay. We will move on. Would anyone from the town board like to make a motion to pay the general highway, sewer, and streetlights in the total of $134,763.78? Anyone like to second it?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Carried. Would anyone from the town board like to make a motion to accept the minutes as printed, subject to corrections for 1/11/2024 and 2/5/2024? Anyone like to make that motion? I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Steve seconds it. Any additions or corrections?
Josh, I abstained from the February 5th, since I was the officer.
Okay,
And I gotta abstain from the 11th. I wasn't
you
here.
have to abstain for a while.
The 11th, I wasn't here.
Okay. But you're abstaining for different days, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to my knowledge, we'll still have 3 votes on you get what I'm saying? Okay, just to make that clear, we're not approving the minutes with just 2 votes, so why don't we just do this separate to make it clear? Cause you're good, you can make that clear? Okay, we have 3 votes for each one. Good. So, can we, vote in favor of, passing this? All those in favor? Aye, carried. Would anyone from the town board like to make a motion to grant the highway department permission to purchase a new refrigerator for the highway department?
You don't have a cost
Approximately?
Yeah, when you put it at the refrigerator,
That case, I think,
How much?
$700 to $800 for this product.
Okay, $700 to $800 for the new refrigerator. I think that's a reasonable expenditure but that's a good question, Maureen. Thank you. Yeah, we got some mice in the old fridge. So would anyone from the board be willing to make that motion?
I'll make it.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, we will move on to our regular committee reports. Administrative, that's me. So I am officially appointing Steve Vermont to the position of Deputy Supervisor effective 1/1/2024. That is my appointment, so I don't need a town board vote on that, so we're not going to ask for one. The town board appoints Diane Trudeau to the position of Administrative Assistant. This is more of a declaration of something we've already acted on as a board and just making the public aware. And that's all I have for that. Buildings and grounds and community center / entertainment. Maureen, anything?
Yep, I'll make it fast.
Okay. We don't hold you to 3 minutes. You know?
This is regarding the EV electric charging stations. I've called around. Horicon doesn't have them. Chestertown doesn't have them. Warrensburg doesn't have them. In Chestertown, Stewart's put them in, but they paid for it. I'm also having Apex call me back and give me another quote because I got one for 6,000 and I got another one for 30. I said, can we come in between these 2? So he's gonna give me a new approach to it.
Good, thank you.
Oh, and then I talked to a business up in Thai, how much National Grid charges. 150 they were charged for 4 of their charging stations. They unplugged them. They said, we're not paying 150 a month for these. So National Grid won't answer me how much they'll charge us yet. So I'm waiting for Apex to get back to me on that too. Because you have to use their companies for National Grid.
Good, thank you. So Maureen, just to make the public aware, is running point for us on this particular thing. We are I think we're just assessing the town's needs, if we want it, if we have a need for it, where they should go, and what potential funding that we could have that could make the low cost to town of Hague taxpayers. Thank you, Maureen. Highway, Marty is not here, but Chad, would you mind giving us an overview?
Yeah. Well, we have a new hire, Sean Mitchell, who just came to work for us, and he's doing really well. So we got his truck going well, we had a small breakdown with his truck. But we had it fixed by a mobile mechanic.
Yeah. Green Mountain Services.
Yeah, Green Mountain Services came in and helped Matt worked with it, did a great job. Got the truck fixed, very affordable. Matt and Luke are working on the new brine tank system, they got that right, the brine tank. Applicator, thank you. For the town. Yeah, they're doing a good job on that, almost got that. Other than that, very good, Bill Snows. Yeah, nothing.
We also finished out the yard road project. Coming in, we achieved $60,000 in the budget. The town's portion is gonna be around $107,000. The state's portion is another 107. So if we were to actually build it back as is, we were able to get an upgrade for a 200 to 300 year storm, which will allow up to 10 inches of rain per hour. So we've seen in the last storm that we just went through that it was able to handle 3 inches an hour, and some funny little to allow water to flow through and any other larger debris. So at that point, we've actually improved one of our projects.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Excuse me, Chad, what is Sean's truck number? Would that be the 295?
295A.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Museum and history, Steve.
I got a couple things that the museum's gonna be doing. I just want to bring everybody up to speed. In 2024, in July, they're gonna be having a program by Ginger about outboard marathons. On July 18th, they're gonna be having a museum exhibit. Ginger's gonna be talking about some items that have in the past about museums, and that's from 5 to 7. And the other one, again, the July outdoor marathons is 7 o'clock. And the August 7th meeting will be Hague history by locals. We've had that done before. It's rare, so people bring all kinds of things from the past in Hague, and it's a nice presentation too. And that'll be August 6th at 7 o'clock for the Historical Society.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Personnel, Jack.
We've had a very busy time since the first of the year with the change in train, our administration with both Chad and Josh. And I just want to say that we've been making some real major advances in considering our employees, how to retain them, making sure that we're paying people with a merit basis and in a way to keep them here. So I'm really glad with the way that that's proceeding, and we're have, as we said, we miss Bertha a lot, but we're really glad that Desiree is here, and she has been working out really well for us on that. We have had the candidates for the open position of the planning board member, and we will be appointing one officially at the end of in the new business part of this meeting. We do have a open position for the alternate for that, which people who are interested should be letting us know about that. We are still seeking a new ZEO, zoning enforcement officer. The position has been posted. We're starting to get some applications, and we're going to be moving forward on that as accurately as we can. And we are planning, and we'll be hearing about the hiring of a ZEO clerk to help in that office because that is needed. That has been in the plan for some time, and we want to, even before we get the CEO, get someone in there to help Kathy Clark, who we're very grateful for extending her retirement all these years for our benefit. And we, as I did mention, are considering the pay plans for our employees and the benefit packages for them, and doing all of these to encourage people who want to be working for pay and to stay working here. And we'll be hearing about some significant changes that we're making in that regard.
Thank you, Jack. Planning, zoning and stormwater, Maureen, do you have anything in that
Well,
regard?
Yeah, Kathy gave us a report on it. For the month, land use developments, there's been 6, state plan review has been 1, subdivisions none, variances for wastewater 4, and wastewater variances 17. There's the whole thing here she's given us, the board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We do have here an action item that, I am in dereliction of duty here. I should have had this on the agenda, but I believe we can act on it. Fee schedule attached, section 160-71 allows anyone to appeal the decision of the ZEO to the zoning board of appeals. The town does not have a listed fee for such appeal. Using the town fee schedule, I recommend that we set our fee at $100. So does the town board have an opinion on Kathy's recommendation to create a $100 fee for any such appeals in the future? Does anyone disagree with Kathy's recommendation? Let me say it another way.
Not me.
Okay, then I will go ahead and I make a motion that we set our fee schedule at $100. Let me just make sure I get this wording right. Decision. Anyone that appeals the decision of the ZEO to the zoning board of appeals, the town we set this $100 fee for anyone that doesn't appeal, that appeals the decision of the ZEO to the zoning board of appeals. Would anyone like to make that motion? Jeff, anyone seconding that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carry. Somebody could have helped me out there, by the way.
Good job.
I'm struggling with that. Okay, so we are recreation and promotional youth. Marty is not here tonight.
I got some stuff for it.
That'd be great, Steve. Thank you.
All right, I just want to announce, I've got a few things to run by everybody here. Thai Acoustics, Lance is going to be up here this Thursday at 7 o'clock, and Pat Pettigrew is going to be playing, Lance, Mike Donahue, Matt Ferrer, Doug Kloski. I don't know, you say Doug might not make it, right? And then Dan Rabineau is going to be here, so it's going to be set up in this room. This Thursday is going to start at 7 o'clock, so come on up and listen to some good music. Now I'll go on to the next day. The 17th, I'm going to start with the Fishing Game Club. I'm going to do some different dates. On 2/17, the Fishing Game Club is having their winter weekend. It's going to have many, many events. It's going to start in the morning. They're going to have a nice dinner. Rich Ortiz is going to be playing out there. Everybody knows Rich from playing down at the music. So they got a lot of nice events going on for that. The Silver Bay winter weekend is the 16th to the 19th. They've got many things going on again out there. Go to that Silver Bay website. There's so many things that they've got going that I couldn't list them all, but they've got a lot of nice events going there also. On the 17th also, the Fireman's Breakfast was going to be at the Hague Volunteer Fire Department. On Sunday, the 18th, there's going to be a chili cook-off at 4 p.m. I got that. And there's going to be a polar plunge at 2 p.m. at the Trout House in honor of Katie. So that's a really nice thing to have too. And I think we should be all go supporting that. It's going to be over outside the Trout House. Going forward with that, I'd also like to thank Tom LaPointe. We had some problems at the transfer station. A block wall fell down. Tom came out on his own time, and with Dan's assistance, they put that back in the proper spot. So That was awful nice of them to do that. The other thing I'd like to mention too, we got music in the park pretty well set up. The fireworks are gonna be on July 3rd. Keep your fingers crossed instead of at the end of the year, but we're gonna try for July 3rd. And one other thing, I'm gonna run about some environmental concerns with you guys. I've noticed, and I've been out, how many nights, Josh? 5 or something like that? I've been calling National Grid. I talked with a gentleman and National Grid about 2 weeks ago. He said, okay, I gave him all of the light poles in town that had no lights. They're out. He said, okay, it's gonna take us about 2 weeks to go and we'll get that done. That was on 1/28/24. 2 weeks have passed. I went out again last night. They haven't fixed one light yet. And I know people in town are concerned. I told them it's a safety issue. Talking to National Grid is like, you ever talk to the man in the moon?
They don't answer.
They've got, well, I gotta talk to my supervisor. I gotta talk to this. I've gotta talk to that. They don't call back. They don't respond. So if anybody is concerned about a streetlight by your location or by your property, please call National Grid or go on their website and give them the information where it is and keep your fingers crossed. They may change the bulb. I mean, it's very frustrating. I've had about 5 or 6 nights. Kathy and I went out again last night. They haven't touched a thing. The 2-week time is over. The lights are still off. So if you want to get a hold of National Grid, you can try 802-892-2345 or 800-642-4272. And there is a spot online you can go to also. You've got to give them where it is. We gave them the pole numbers where the lights were, how far they were from the center of town, and they still haven't done a thing. So very frustrating.
And I can vouch for that, Steve, because I stopped when you were waiting for that light to make sure you were.
She stopped on her way. I'm waiting for this light to turn on. Gee, are you okay? Yeah. So, but again, it's dealing with them is extremely frustrating. But again, if you've got a light that's near your house, give them a call. Keep your fingers crossed.
Can I tell you who you might be able to contact, since he's right here, Art Stites, and ask Art to give you the name of the planning, who does all this electrical inspection. He'll go around and cite all the places. He has a direct line to someone who actually can do something, because we've been through that many times.
Oh yeah, well, I'll give Art a call for sure. I met a guy down at the beach one time. He was down there having lunch, you know, a guy from National Grid. Oh yeah, we'll be happy. Just give him a call. They'll get out here and do it, you know. Yeah. Good luck, but I will give Art a call. Maybe he's got another guy. Get a hold.
Up to their shop with some coffee. Sometimes it works even better.
Very frustrating, but anyhow, that's what we got going on.
I do know Mr. Stites came to see me at the supervisor's office and brought up that very.
He said it to
concern
me too.
About the streetlights. So he did not offer that personal service, but
I'll give you the number that I have.
okay, that'd be great.
Give me the number, because again, I talked to Art too, and he said the same thing.
He's concerned though, same as everyone else.
We want the lights, man. We tell them it's a safety issue. And you know, goodbye, good luck. And the other thing too is today, I'm going out to see a person about working at the beach. And there's a truck sitting down there where Dick and Eddie used to have their shop. And he's got 2 rims out and 2 flat tires. Guess what he hit? Western Express. He hit the rocks by the Ruah. I called up them and I said, you know, this is about the 5th or 6th time that we've had trucks in town broke down hitting that wall. We had to get guys out last year, remember, from the highway to put the rocks back up. And I said, I talked to a guy and he said, I said, you know, you're going to a guy, you've got him sitting down here. I gave him the truck number, the cab number. The guy's going to Virginia. He left Ty. Why don't you have that guy go down 74 and get on the Northway instead of come this way? This is probably what I did. Probably the 6th wreck that we've seen. They hit that wall down there. And so maybe we'll get 1 truck less coming through town. They told me before they wouldn't come through town. And guess what? Here they were today. Crazy.
A lot of those guys, Steve, when we talk to them, when they get stuck on the mountain, we gotta pull them out of the way. They're being told by their dispatchers the route that they have to drive.
Right, and then I told him, when I talked to I finally got somebody on the phone that made sense to them. I said,
Yeah.
you know, you've got guys that are going here, it's quicker for them to go up 74 to get on the Northway than come down, because he was gonna go back up Route 8. I said, well, if you see Route 8, you're only about a quarter mile away from Route 8, and you've already wrecked your truck. Go the other way, so we'll see what happens with Western Express.
Okay.
Thank you, that's it,
You're good for promotion and recreation and youth, Steve?
that's
Okay.
it, I don't have.
Super.
anything. Thank you.
I'll just tag on to Steve that we are going to be having Silver Camp again this year. Silver Bay YMCA is still going to be partnering with the town of Hague to for the cost of the children of Hague. So that's a good thing, and we are exploring the buses. It's very expensive to bus the kids from the community center to the Silver Bay YMCA. So we're exploring whether or not that's something we want to pursue or not on a, I guess, usage basis, and if there's a need for that for the community. I know in the past, instead of in lieu of buses, we raised it from, it was either 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 weeks. We gave the kids more weeks of paid camp. Recreation, yeah. And that's what we did in lieu of the busing costs. But I mean, if there's a need and we can afford both, I mean, that would be a wonderful thing. Also, I will just point out again to the town of Hague that we are searching for leadership and role players helping with the Memorial Day Parade still. Sewer District 1 and 2, Jack.
The wastewater treatment plant truck is continuing to experience operational problems. That vehicle has been concerned. The staff is working very hard to make it last through this year, as it's not included in the budget to replace it this year. I also report that the Sewer Advisory Committee and the town board have completed periodic review of the Hague sewer law and the Hague sewer law enforcement response plan, and no changes are warranted at this time. You want me to handle the EDU schedule resolution at this time?
That would be, I think, good, yes.
We need to authorize the EDU schedule so that the sewer bills can be sent out, and I have issued the 2024 EDU schedule that the board has reviewed it, so I make a motion that it is resolved that the town board of the town of Hague, Warren County, adopts the 2024 EDU schedule.
Okay. Would anyone from the board, and there's no, as I recall, there's no significant changes, correct?
No changes this year from the last year,
Right.
correct?
Just pointing that out to the town board. I mean, I assume you're already aware. I just wanted to point that out to the public also. Would anyone like to make that motion? Oh, second, sorry. All those in favor? Carried. I think we can, we're gonna be addressing the white paper and or do you want to talk about that a little now, or it's also in new business?
We can do it in new business. Basically, let me just say that the school advisory committee has been actively attending the Central School District Board of Education meetings. Our member Linda Fusco has been very active in meetings specifically with superintendent. And we are aware too that Governor Hochul's budget for this coming year shortchanges rural schools. And we're working with the Rural Schools Association to do whatever we possibly can to combat that. To Josh's point, last year, as you probably remember, Hague recommended to the town of Ticonderoga that the Board of Education consider and in fact implement the 5-year and multi-year assessment averaging methodology that is allowed in the New York State property tax laws to proportion tax bill between multiple towns within a single central school district. We got a late start on that. We weren't successful. We are going to continue to recommend to the Thai school district and school board that they do that, and we will be acting on a resolution tonight to make that happen, try to make that happen for the 2024-2025 budget.
Thank you.
Josh, we have a question online from Mr. Memphis. He's curious to know when the public hearing is going to be for the ST violence.
What's coming?
Okay, it is on the agenda, and the agenda is listed online on the Town of Hague website. I can issue that. It's right on the agenda. I can tell him though, why not? But if you just see here, where is it on the agenda?
Public hearing March 12th.
March 12th.
Thank you.
Okay, but it is on the Town of Hague website.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. So we are moving down here, Town Park and Beautification, Steve?
Well, again, we pretty much worked on, we're talking about, we've had discussions about the building down there and going forward on that. We also, you'll probably notice the lights are on the streetlights. There's one light on and we had more electric down, and they're gonna come back in the spring to try and get those other 2 lights to work, but they couldn't get them to work. They spent hours down there one day trying to get them to work. They're gonna have to dig up the ground to get those other 2 lights on. The building needs some work, and we're looking into that. We've got a agent looking at grants to help us possibly upgrade the building down there. And so we're waiting to hear if that happens, and that can give us a room, because that building does need some serious improvement. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that we can get a grant to help it.
Amen. Yes. Steve, again, environmental concerns. I mean, I know you've touched on that a little already.
Yeah, the environmental concerns, we've gone over that. There's, we're just concerned, we got the knotweed program going to go again. We're going to work back with that. The Lake George Land Conservancy, I talked to Mike, they're ready to do it again with us. We tried to get a grant on that and we didn't get the grant, but we're going to go back with Ryan, and with the Lake George Land Conservancy's help, we're going to continue to work on the knotweed problem.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, Technology and Communications Committee, that's me. So I am excited to say that the Town of Hague has generated an email database, and it's a opt-in option for anyone in the community that's interested. Just go to the Town of Hague website and you just punch in your email address and hit subscribe. We're just trying to improve communication within the town when there's something that's going on that we think people need to know about. All of a sudden we can fire out an email, and it's a town function and town entity that, people can just join in. I mean, we're going to something very basic at first. We've done a lot of homework on this, and Ticonderoga has this really nice system for $5,100 a year, but I talked to some people at the county and just surrounding areas, and essentially what they're suggesting is we start with MailChimp, and it's free right now. Eventually we might have a monthly fee involved, but right now there's no fee. So I'm excited to tell you we have 70 people that have signed up, and I just want to give very high accolades to Amanda Peterson. I mean, we started this actually 2 years ago. We had a meeting probably, and we kind of dropped the ball for a while, or I dropped the ball for a while. And now we're picking it back up, and she's just been so technical and so savvy and helping with this computer program and navigating things and getting it on the town website, moving it from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. And I just really much appreciate her expertise in making this happen, and I really don't deserve much credit. Amanda has been invaluable. Unfinished business. Resolution for short-term rental local law number 1. You'll see that it's a correction. It doesn't say number 1 on there, but I'm making that correction for the record for the minutes. Town board to set the public hearing on March 12th for the short-term rental local law. Would anyone from the board like to make a motion?
So moved.
Anyone like to second that motion?
Same time, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yep.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor? Aye, carried. So just for complete transparency, the way that I see this happening right now is we'll go through our regular meetings, our regular things that we do every month here. And then afterwards, we will hold the public hearing. One of a few things could happen. The town board could act immediately following that public hearing. We could not act at all, ever, or we could act at a future date. So just want to be very transparent with the possibilities. Anyone on Zoom, I'm hoping you're hearing me loud and clear. And I know the audience is because I'm getting good eye contact. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Communications and petitions. We encourage residents of Hague to consider a seat for candidacy on the Ticonderoga Central School Board to ensure representation from our town. Not asking for a vote or anything on that. I'm just communicating that as the town supervisor. I think that that's in the best interest of the town of Hague. Guess I'm just speaking for myself.
Well, the school advisory committee is very actively
Concur.
considering that also, and we absolutely concur.
That's good. I'm glad I have support on it. Thank you, Jack. We are gonna need a resolution to authorize the town supervisor to sign a contract for fireworks in the amount of $11,250 for Santori's World Famous Fireworks LLC. Would anyone like to make that motion on the board? Anyone like to second that?
Second. Jack.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye, carried. We have received a letter from the Hague Seniors Club. They wrote to me, a letter requesting permission from the town board to approve use of the community center for 2 back-to-back events, April 10th through the 27th. And the Hague seniors are also requesting permission to use the visitor center from May 26th through June 3rd for the Americade. Just a point of clarification. Is it
Clarification, that's not right.
Is it just the 10th and the 27th? What's that?
The visitor center from April 10th straight through to June 3rd. That's what we use it to take our stuff in and set up for White Elephant, which we're still gonna have.
Okay.
And then we go right into Americade. Americade is over, it's done June 2nd. We
Okay.
clean up June 3rd, the visitor center and the park.
Okay.
That's my fault, I did see that, but didn't change it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
No
I just
problem.
wanna make
Thank you,
sure
Pat.
We don't want the community.
No.
What are
Well,
the,
we can get a lot
Do
of
you-
people in the community center.
Okay, so you actually don't need the community center for anything.
No,
Okay.
Visitor center,
So April 10th through June 3rd, was it?
yes.
Okay, would anyone like to make the motion to approve that?
so moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the town of Hague has hired 2 new employees. I'm gonna butcher this first name, but Ruthia, you know what? She told us to call her Ohm. So I'm just gonna, you can see the true name there, but Ohm Hillard will be hired full-time with benefits as a front desk receptionist clerk effective 2/20/2024. And we will be hiring Denise Gugamuk, will be hired as a part-time ZEO clerk effective, point of correction, that should be effective with an E, 2/20/24. Would anyone from the town board like to make a motion?
So moved.
Would anyone like to second that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carried. We're excited to have them both start working for the town of Hague, and we're confident they're gonna do an excellent job for us. The town supervisor appoints Desiree Lapointe to the position of confidential secretary to the supervisor. The town board has authorized Supervisor Patchett to offer this as a full-time position with benefits effective 2/6/2024. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve that hire as described?
So moved.
I will second it. All those in favor? Aye, carried. We have, Jack, do you want to do this one, or do you want me to just read it as the resolution for the Ticonderoga Board of Education? Or,
You can do it.
okay. Jack's worked very hard on this. I thought I'd give him that option, but okay. Resolution to request Ticonderoga Board of Education to implement multi-year assessment averaging. The town board has the actual resolution, but would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
I will second that. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. We have here a motion to resolution to appoint Edna Frazier to the at the planning.
To the planning board.
Yeah, to the planning board to fill the open position on the planning board for a term to expire 12/31/2025. Would anyone like to make that
So
motion? Would anyone like to second it?
I will.
Okay, Maureen's got the second. All those in favor? Aye, carried. Town.
Steve.
Okay. Town board to authorize the payment to the Hague Volunteer Fire Department in the sum of $1,000 to promote the polo plunge. Would anyone like to make the motion to authorize that payment?
So moved.
Anyone like to second that?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, carried. Oh, okay, we have before us a resolution to amend the employee manual regarding health insurance. Health insurance stipend will be offered to full-time employees in the amount of $3,000 who have chosen to decline current town health insurance. This will be paid annually on a weekly basis. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
And anyone like to second that?
I will.
Second, all those in favor? Aye, carried. Resolution to amend the highway budget, increasing the mechanics pay by $2,000. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Would anyone like to second it?
Second.
All those in favor? Carried. A resolution to amend the general fund budget to purchase 2 computers at $1,500 total, $750 per computer. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Anyone like to second that?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. A resolution to state that the financial records have been reviewed by the town board. I will make that motion. Would anyone like to second it?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. A resolution that all future wastewater plans, variance plans, a resolution that all future wastewater variance plans accurately and clearly be marked and staked out on property. All pertinent components should be staked and flagged. Now, I just want to make a point of clarification here. These are only plans that require variances that come before the town board. We are not asking this to be done for every wastewater system that goes in the town of Hague. So only ones that require variances. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Would anyone like to second it? Did you did? Okay. Point of discussion, Steve, you had some photos. Did you want to just say something on that? I
Yeah,
thought you mentioned to
The
me.
reason we went to, the one that was bordering, your place up there. And we looked and they've got flags out on it. They've got stakes that tell what is on the stake. So what happens is, it's gonna be up to the responsibility of the person that's trying to get these variances, like here's the south corner system lot. Here's one that says approximate location of trench in the daylight. This way, that when the board goes out to take a look at these things, especially in the snow, at least you can see what the hell you're looking at, instead of the ground with snow on it. So I think this is a good thing to do going forward, and it makes it a lot clearer to go look for, it's our responsibility to look at these spots, and we go out there to see it, and it's a lot clearer than you're not just going, well, where's this line? Where's that line? Where's this line? And it's very clear, and I think it's gonna help speed up the process and let people really understand when you look at the things, like Mr. DeFranco did, and you look at the charts, then you have a real good idea. You're there, you can see them, and it's easy to make decisions.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. We'd like to make a resolution to authorize the assessor David Martucci permission to attend 3 continuing education classes via Zoom. The cost of the classes are $110 each. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
I will second that. All those in favor? Aye, carried. Resolution to authorize John Sheehan to attend a continuing education class in the amount of $35. This class will take place in Plattsburgh for filtration or telemetry, VFDs, and sludge handling. Would anyone like to make that motion for the town? Anyone like to second? All those in favor? Resolution that the town justice books have been audited. I will make that motion. Would anyone like to second it?
So
All those in favor? I do question, well, never mind, whether or not maybe that could have just been part of the one before.
Right.
It's fine.
It's yeah, it's fine. We're very thorough here at the town board.
Yeah.
Okay,
The justice records have been.
that's right. That's right. So. At this point in time, I think you can read it on your agenda. We are going to have to go into executive session on a personnel matter, more specifically to discuss employee retention in reference to the town board research. So the reason that we have 3 people that are actually, 3 people that are, well, Desiree, which isn't new, but 2, Ohm and Denise, we're the reason that the rate of pay wasn't in this agenda is we have done some research on other towns and we need to establish the rate of pay. So we're going to do so with in an executive session and in a productive way. So I just wanted to be very transparent in that. Donna, did you want to say something before we? Sure, please.
Thank you guys for allowing us to do this for lunch this year.
No, in
It's
fact,
something that is very dear to our hearts. Thank you, this member. And the last 3 years, we haven't had it. And I just want to let everybody know that we are doing it because of David and her family. So, thanks.
amen. I'll just add on to that, that Donna took the initiative along with, I think, Mr. Snow and Mrs. I don't know your new last name, Mrs. McCoy. Okay. They all 3 of them took initiative, showed an interest, came down, met with me on a fly, and it was just a really productive thing. And they're doing this